Welcome to the lecture on growth and development of children from birth to 5 years, and after this lecture we will be able to discuss what motor development is, describe the physical growth of child till 5 years, explain the needs of physically handicapped children, describe the development of child during 9 to 12 months. Let us begin by understanding child development. Child development refers to the biological, psychological and emotional changes that occur in human beings between birth and the end of adolescence as the individual progresses from dependency to increasing autonomy. Stages of childhood are defined culturally by the social institution, customs and laws that make up a society. To help optimal growth of the child, it is important for parents to create the best environment. The three broad stages of development are early childhood, middle childhood and adolescence. Physical growth means development of a child's physical skills. It includes the gross motor skills such as walking, jumping, running, catching, and the fine motor skills such as the pincer grip, hand-eye coordination, doing up laces or jibs. After the child is born, parents eagerly wait for the child to do all these activities. Physical development in children follows a directional pattern. Large muscles develop before small muscles. Children learn how to perform gross or large motor skills such as walking before they learn to perform a fine or small motor skills such as drawing. The center of the body develops before the outer regions. Development goes from the top down, from the head to the toes. This is why babies learn to hold their hands up before they learn how to crawl. A child's growth and development can be divided into 4 periods: infancy, preschool years, middle childhood years and adolescence. Let's discuss each stage now. A baby loses 5 to 10% of body weight on birth. However, after 2 weeks, the baby should gain weight and grow. The weight doubles by the age of 4 to 6 months. The growth slows down after 6 months till 1 year of age. After 1 year till 5 years, the weight gain is only about 5 pounds per year. The growth is more steady till 10 years of age. The size of nutrient requirements also varies. An infant needs more calories than a toddler or preschooler. Healthy eating habits should begin during infancy to prevent diseases such as type 2 diabetes, high blood pressure and childhood obesity. The baby will sleep about 15 hours per day in first 3 to 4 months and less time as he or she grows older. Motor development is growth of nervous system which helps a child to perform complex actions. All children begin to exhibit these motor skills at a fairly consistent rate unless some type of disability is present. Let us study the types of motor skills. These are of 2 types. Gross or large motor skills involve the larger muscle including the arms and legs which help in walking, running, balance and coordination. Evaluation of gross motor skills requires viewing strength, muscle tone, movement quality and the range of movement. Fine or small motor skills involve the smaller muscles in fingers, toes, eyes and other areas. Fine motor skills involve the ability to grasp, cut with scissors or fasten buttons. The actions that require fine motor skills tend to be more intricate such as drawing, writing, grasping objects, throwing, waving and catching. Let us discuss the development age-wise. A baby till 3 months can hold hand or a rattle. By 6 months, he can play with toys and shake a rattle. A baby of 9 months can wave a bye. However, a child of 12 months can finger feed and play with blocks. An 18-month-old child can pull off socks, etc. and scribble in a book. By the age of 2 years, can self-feed with spoon wash hands and open lids and boxes. Now let's understand the development of a child during 0 to 3 months. The baby undergoes rapid social, emotional, physical and cognitive development during this phase. From 2 to 3 months, the infant may begin to lift their head from the floor while lying on their stomach. The babies lost weight during birth and regain their birth weight within 2 weeks and continue gaining 6 to 8 ounces a week for the next few months. The doctor checks child's length, weight and growth rate. The baby smiles, tracks people and discovers his own hands and feet. However, the milestone of controlling their head comes at 3 months with the ability to roll back to front. The baby begins to grasp objects and manipulate to the mouth. Now we will notice the changes during 3 to 6 months of age. The baby at this age recognizes the parents and can read their expression. The baby is happy with strangers also and kick legs and wave arms as a response to the conversation. The baby gets control of his body and looks carefully at its arms and feet. Making the baby lie on his stomach helps to strengthen the back and also prepare for crawling. Now let us discuss the development during 6 to 9 months. The baby at this age puts everything in the mouth. The baby will be able to express its feeling. At this age, it becomes familiar with the family and becomes sensitive to strangers. The eye muscle develops and child recognizes the small scary things like a change in the floor level. The baby here can make different sounds and be happy to hear them. The baby begins to sit on its own now and starts with crawling. We shall now discuss the developments in the baby during 9 to 12 months. The baby explores the world with all its senses now. It continues to grow and controls its large muscles. It begins to crawl, stand and even walk now. It practices walking by cruising with holding furniture. More safety is required now. It is important to take care of small pointed items, electric sockets and wires. Cabinets should be locked since everything interests the baby now. Now let's discuss the development of a child during 1 to 3 years of age. The child walks independently and can bang objects in hand. It develops relation with family members and those outside the family also. The child becomes friendly with other children and socializes. The child can roll, walk, push and pull things. Toilet training becomes important activity now. A 2-year-old child can climb stairs, sit on chair, climb tables, etc. Their hand preference begins at this age. With further growth, the child can dress and undress, can wipe nose, listen to instructions, carries toy, run and sit in a variety of positions. Cognitive development refers to the development of the ability to think and reason. Cognitive abilities associated with memory, reasoning, problem solving and thinking continue to emerge throughout childhood. The children between ages 6 to 12 learn to reason with objects and events. It's called concrete operation. However, adolescent has abstract and complex thinking process, also called formal logical operation. Cognitive development is the field of study in neuroscience and psychology focusing on a child's development in terms of information processing, conceptual resources, perceptual skill, language learning and other aspects of brain development and cognitive psychology compared to an adult's point of view. Cognitive development refers to how a person perceives things and gains understanding of his or her world through the interaction of genetic and learned factors. Let us discuss ways to study the development. The oldest method is IQ test, which compares the intelligence of the child with people of different ages, but it has been criticized to define intelligence too narrowly. Another way is learning theory, which focuses on the role of environmental factors in shaping the intelligence of children, especially on the child's ability to learn by having certain behaviors rewarded and others discouraged. Let us now study the stages of cognitive development. The most well-known and influential theory of cognitive development is that of Swiss psychologist Jean Piaget. He envisioned a child's knowledge as composed of schemas which are being modified by two complementary processes that Piaget termed assimilation and accommodation. Assimilation refers to the process of taking in new information by incorporating it into an existing schema. On the other hand, accommodation is what happens when the schema itself changes to accommodate new knowledge. It occurs in a series of four distinct universal stages, each characterized by increasingly sophisticated and abstract levels of thought. Let us discuss each. The sensory-motor stage. It is between birth and age of 2 when child has simple motor responses due to limited sensory perceptions and motor activities. It has development of memory, mobility and language. It has 6 sub-stages. The pre-operational stage. The child of age 2 to 6 learns languages but still does not understand logics and other person's viewpoint. It has 2 sub-stages. The concrete operational stage. This is between age 7 to 11 when child has better understanding and logical thinking but unable to understand hypothetical concept. It is characterized by 7 types of conservation: number, length, liquid, mass, weight, area and volume. Operational thinking develops mental actions that are reversible. The formal operational stage. It is from age of 12 till adulthood when skills such as logical thought, deductive reasoning and systematic planning emerge. Social emotional development includes the child's experience, expression and management of emotions and the ability to establish positive and rewarding relationship with others. It encompasses both intra and interpersonal processes. The core features of emotional development include the ability to identify and understand one's own feelings, to accurately read and comprehend emotional states in others, to manage strong emotions and their expressions in a constructive manner, to regulate one's own behavior, to develop empathy for others and to establish and maintain relationship. The requirement for healthy development is positive relationship among the elders. Toddlers feel strong emotional bond with their loved ones. The newborn babies don't know anything about themselves or who is taking care of them, but can communicate their needs with a cry, a smile or body movement or expression. The children with more emotional skill can express feelings, are confident and make friends. Greatest influence on a child's social emotional development is the quality of the relationship that he develops with his primary caregivers. Let us study about the expression of emotion. From infancy to grown up, emotion is expressed through facial expression, vocalization, body language, and ability to use words. Tronick described how expression of emotion is related to emotion regulation and communication between the mother and infant. The emotional expressions of the infant and the caretaker function to allow them to mutually regulate their interactions. The infant and the adult are participants in an effective communication system. It is affected by culture and plays a significant role in development of social relationship. Positive emotions appeal to social partners and seem to enable relationship to form, while problematic management or expression of negative emotions leads to difficulty in social relationship. Social understanding is particularly important because of the social nature of humans and human life even in early infancy. At each age, social cognitive understanding contributes to social competence, interpersonal sensitivity, and an awareness of how the self relates to other individuals and groups in a complex social world. Now let's discuss another development in the growth of a child. It is language development. Infants start without language, yet by 4 months of age, babies can discriminate speech sounds and engage in babbling. However, it is believed that earliest learning begins in uterus when the fetus starts to recognize the sounds and speech patterns of its mother's voice. Language is a powerful tool to enhance cognitive development. By age 8, children are able to demonstrate some basic understanding of less concrete concepts, including time and money. Over the first 3 years of life, children develop a spoken vocabulary of between 300 and 1,000 words, and they are able to use language to learn about and describe the world around them. By age 5, a child's vocabulary will grow to approximately 1,500 words. 5-year-olds are also able to produce 5 to 7 word sentences, learn to use the past tense, and tell familiar stories using pictures as cues. The first level of development is sensory motor skills. Sensation of movement and gravity help him to develop postural security and motor planning. Visual, olfactory, gustatory, auditory, and tactile experiences foster his ability to screen input. Sensory experiences are crucial to a child's development. The child will use these sensory interactions for speech, play, and learning, and to master motor skills. Having developed the sensory motor skills to learn about and start to control his body, the child moves through his environment, gathering more sensory information and practicing skills to develop small motor development and coordination. This growth and development lays the foundation for cognitive development and intellect. Taste and smell. It is surprising to know that the baby could smell and taste while still in the womb. Some research indicates that a mother's diet while pregnant and nursing can influence her baby's palate later in life. This sense of smell is of advantage since the baby recognizes his mom's familiar smell and may find comfort in the odor that comes from a piece of her clothing during her absence. Hearing. Hearing sensory development is usually where underway within the womb. Fetuses can hear the mother's bodily noises as well as loud noises such as car horns outside her body. The most familiar sound to a baby is typically his or her mother's heartbeat, which often provides a soothing during moments of distress. His hearing will rapidly progress in the oncoming months. Sight. The eyesight is the least developed of his senses. Newborns have immature eye muscle which do not allow to see far off and organized images. In the first 3 months, they are attracted by bright light and primary colors. It will not be until around 9 months of age that his eye color will be established. Touch. The infant's sense of touch is perhaps the most highly developed sense he has at birth. He craves skin-to-skin contact, soothed during swaddling, or responds to various touches. Let us move to the topic of disabled and disadvantaged children and their needs. Disabled people have faced many disadvantages like being locked up in asylums or even infanticide. Earlier, people took care of disabled family members, but with lack of alternatives, the disabled were left alone. Hence, the disability rights movement gathered steam during the 1970s. Like their peers in the civil rights movement, proponents of disability rights advocated for greater accessibility, vocational rehabilitation, and further integration of disabled persons into mainstream society. This situation led to the creation of organization to work on behalf of disabled persons, from ADAPT to the Center for Independent Living. Let us study about disabled children with most complex needs. Current relevant initiatives include removing barriers to achievement, which encourages joint working between mainstream and special schools. The National Service Framework for Children, Young People and Maternity Services, which sets measurable standards for children with complex health needs. Improving the life changes of disabled people, which sets challenging goals to be achieved by 2025, and palliative care services for children and young people in England, which highlights the needs of children with life-limiting or life-threatening circumstances. Children with complex needs may have lifelong care requirements and will be overrepresented in the group of children in institutional care, often at some distance from home. Under the Children Act 1989, authorities placing a child in residential provision for more than 3 months must notify the responsible local authority. The responsible authority must ensure the child's welfare is safeguarded and promoted. Current policy stresses the following: involving all relevant agencies in decisions concerning residential placement with the option of a child remaining in their family or home community wherever possible, reviewing the reason for a high-cost placement and whether or not it is due to gaps in local services high cost, having a long-term strategy for redeploying resources towards sustainable local provision so that more children are able to remain in their home communities. Our next study will be for socially disabled and disadvantaged children. Socially disadvantaged individuals are those who have been subjected to racial or ethnic prejudice or cultural bias because of their identity as a member of a group without regard to their individual qualities. Specialized support to disadvantaged children and young people comprises taking into care and preventive measures. Preventive measures are personal counseling, respite foster care, subsidies for boarding, continuations of schools, stays in full-time facilities for children, parents and family treatment or similar at-home support. Instead of focusing on the individual child and its weaknesses, the focus is now on the child's own resources and on the familiar and social context in which the child lives. On the one hand, this means development an inclusive form of day care based on the child's resources and abilities. On the other hand, it entails supporting the parents as parents. Let us discuss about the physically handicapped children. Loss of or failure to develop a specific bodily function or functions, whether of movement, sensation, coordination or speech, but excluding mental impairments or disabilities, are called physically handicapped. Physically handicapped children face many challenges on a daily basis. Consider the important ways to help physically disabled children to realize they are all born as a God creation, to make disabled happy and feel less inferior, to put such person at ease in the society, find their strength, keep their expectation high, compliment them, make them participate in activities, make them feel you are there when they need. Let us now study the needs of disabled children. A physically handicapped person is defined as a person who has a disability of locomotor and neurological origin which constitute a disadvantage or restriction in one or more aspects of daily living activities including work. Based on the principle of provision of special education as stipulated in the White Paper on Rehabilitation 1995 for children with a disability who cannot benefit satisfactorily from education in a mainstream setting in an ordinary school, that the provision of special schools and special education classes in ordinary schools. Following this guiding principle, provision listed below have been offered: special school provision, ordinary school placement with special supports, hospital school, teaching services, several disabled children who depend on parents for basic needs, children dependent on medical equipment, have less household incomes, housing unsuitable for carrying a disabled child, common unmet needs of the child related to learning skills, common unmet needs of the parents were financial resources, help in planning the child's future, help with care and knowledge of available services. We shall discuss about the substitute care at home and outside. The person born with disabilities can grow to be happy and successful based on how they are raised. The first thing in raising them is to remove all expectation about your life and kind of family you dreamt of. The second way is to do research about the ability and teach to the neighbors and relatives also. A doctor can serve as a great source of support in properly dealing with the day-to-day struggles of caring for a disabled child. It is advisable to keep the child surrounded with caring family members and supportive friends who understand his or her needs. It is essential that the child get the right education at a school where it is assured that he or she will get an appropriate care and support. Nurture the child, but do not pity or baby them. Give your support but not pity the inability of the child. Make sure that the child lives a healthy lifestyle. Teach them to stay with their condition and take their own care. Teach the child to look at the bigger picture of their life. Teach them to see beyond their affliction and be happy with their life. Give the child all the tools they need to succeed. A parent that pushes the child to go to school and provides them with everything they need until they are old enough to take care of themselves will be ensuring success during child's life. Keep a strong relationship with the child at all times. Love your child unconditionally. Create a strong bond. Never ignore the child under any circumstances. Ignoring a child can have consequences that negatively affect a child for the rest of their life. Proper parenting can go a long way in helping a child with a handicap. A handicap turned into strength. Parents can ensure that their children becomes empowered by their condition, whether they grow up to form a charity or end up successful in some other manner. Children can grow up to accept the condition and end up living like it does not even exist. Summary. Now in the end, let us summarize what we have learned in the lecture. Physical growth means development of a child's physical skills. Motor development is the growth of nervous system, which helps a child to perform complex actions. Two types of motor skill are gross or large and fine or small. These vary according to the age. Stages of cognitive development are the sensorimotor stage, the pre-operational stage, the concrete operational stage, the formal operational stage. Social emotional development includes the child's experience, expression, and management of emotions and the ability to establish positive and rewarding relationship with others. Language development is a process starting early in life. It is the most powerful tool. Visual or olfactory, gustatory, auditory, and tactile experiences foster his ability to screen input.